Hey, welcome everyone. We are going to get started here in just a couple minutes. I'm Maria Plussel. I'm the Executive Director of MinneStar. Chris, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Chris Ewell. I am the co-founder of Kinetic.
Fantastic. We want to hear who you are, so definitely drop in the chat your name, where you work. Like I said, we're going to get started here pretty soon. I'm really excited because as many of you have probably seen from some of the emails that have been coming from MinneStar about MinneBar coming up. Hey, Greg. We have a really awesome month planned. We have 72 different sessions over the course of 6 mornings. Greg's one of them. And we have Chris and Kinetic, and we're really excited because as a MinneStar board, we were talking about, how do we take networking to the next level? All of us are in a lot of virtual events and virtual spaces this year, and we've seen a lot of really good content come out, but we've been feeling like there's, how do we push the envelope when it comes to that connection piece that's so hard to recreate in a virtual space? Like if any of you have been to MinneBar before, in the before times when there's 1,500 people at Best Buy and you're just like meet people in the hallway, or it's very hard to, you can't recreate that. So how do you take something where, the content's really, really awesome? Definitely check out some of the sessions that we're having over the course of the next 2 weeks. Oh, hey, Robert. Robert also has a session coming up too. But I'm really excited to for Chris to be here to kind of explain how to use Kinetic and how we're using it for the event, kind of in tandem with the different content sessions we have going on. So if you've never used Crowdcast before, welcome. This is Crowdcast. This is what we will be using for MinneBar for the next 2 weeks. One thing that you'll notice different when you come tomorrow or any of the other days is up at the top, you see the title of the session, How to Maximize Your MinneBar Networking. You'll also see another bar below that tomorrow, and the reason is that we have 2 tracks going on. We've affectionately named them the Nokomis track and the Phelan track. If you've been to MinneBar at Best Buy, you'll know that a lot of their rooms are named after Minnesota places, so it's a little homage to that. But we do have 2 tracks going at the same time. So you'll be able to toggle from one track to another as many times as you want to be able to check out the different sessions that are going on at the same time. So that's the only thing that'll be kind of drastically different tomorrow. But if you're wondering how to navigate between the tracks, it will be right below the title. So I guess I'll stop talking because I really want to give Chris a chance to kind of dig into Kinetic. I'm really excited. I've been kind of poking around on it. So Chris, why don't you take it away?
Sure. Excellent. And thanks, Maria. Am I getting any feedback?
You sound good to me.
Okay. Sounds good.
Let us know in the chat.
Yeah, I'm going to maybe just take this off.
All right. Yeah, Robert says you sound fine to him too. Oh, now we can't hear you. Yeah. Chris, we lost your audio. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's all good. All right. In the meantime, yeah, no, we still don't got it. Yeah, the headphones. In the meantime, while we're getting this figured out, well, let's try this. Yeah, it looks like you're muted. Greg and Robert you see Robert already plugged his session, but if you are here and you have a session going on, drop it in here, let people know when it is and what it is, because we got a lot of folks that are technologists or founders or entrepreneurs. So definitely plug your sessions as they're coming up here. All right. Chris is getting all set up. Who else do we have here today? We got, oh, hey, Lynn. Lynn and Andy. Got Joel here. This is awesome. Hey, Lynn. Lynn's doing a session too. I think you're doing a session on internships or apprenticeships. Thanks, Robert. Yep, Thursday the 8th at 11. Nice. Yeah, Lynn's going to post it in the chat as well. Yeah, Chris is just having some audio difficulties. Which are Nakoma tracks, which are failing tracks? Great question. So everyone is going to be getting an email from me, and actually it'll be coming the night before each day. That is a quick, here's the link to join, and then here's the schedule for the day. So Nakoma's tracks and Phelan tracks. For you that are presenters, if you go to sessions.minnestar.org, if your session is in the left side, that is the Nakoma's track. And if your session is in the right side, that is the Phelan track. It's a really good question. Yeah, while we're kind of waiting on Chris here, any other general questions for MinneBar? We got a bunch of folks here who some people have definitely been involved in the past, and maybe some new people as well. Hey, Joel. Yeah, so other questions that people have, definitely drop them in the chat here. We are gonna be talking today mostly about how to use Kinetic, but oh, looks like we got Chris back.
All right, how do I sound?
Yeah.
I promise I'm intact.
Yeah, I'm just gonna respond really quickly to a couple questions that came through, and then we'll go hit it over to Chris.
Cool.
Yep, Lynn's session is on the 17th, so definitely check it out. Tech apprenticeships, hugely important topic right now. Yeah, so Greg is wondering, are we using StreamYard as presenters? That's a great question. So that is just for presenters. And the reason that we're using that is the ability to be able to have kind of a green screen, green room environment where we can test out your tech and everything before the actual, like, having you on stage. So we have a tech person who will help with that process. So that is the email that you got from me. That's why that you go to that link. Great question. All right, keep the questions coming in the chat, but in the meantime, I'm gonna pass it over to Chris.
All right, great. Thank you, Maria, and thank you everyone for that brief hiccup there. So again, my name is Chris. I'm the co-founder of Kinetic, and I'm very excited to give you a little bit of insight on what you can expect for the next 2 weeks during MinneBar15. So what I'll go ahead and do is share my screen so you can see what I see. Feel free to let me know in the comments if it's not coming through. And by all means, happy to make this a conversation versus a presentation. So as things come up, if you have questions, if something doesn't quite look right, feel free to let me know, and you know, to dive in along the way. So the goal for the conversation today is to, one, give you a little bit of overview of how we got here, and you know, why I've taken the time to focus on building this and where we're headed. Give you a little bit of insight on how you can use it for MinneBar starting tomorrow when we make the first introduction for everyone that's signed up and completed their profile. And then I'm going to give you a brief demo. We'll take a walk through what it looks like to sign up, what it looks like to create a profile, your dashboard, the introductions that will occur, and again, just do a general Q&A throughout the session. So please feel free to bring questions up and ask away as they come up. So a little bit about myself and my co-founder and us, as you know, how we got here. We have a background in social media. So about 10 years ago or so, we were part of a small social media boutique agency based here in the Midwest. And we had really good opportunity to partner with some leading brands that really leveraged the full potential of social media as far as outreach and engagement and impressions. And had a chance to build social tools for the likes of the Dallas Cowboys and Axe. One of which we actually built a social tool that worked so well that we crashed the Dallas Cowboys website. So it was a very bittersweet call when you get a call from the home office of the Dallas Cowboys, and they say, get our site back up. We are losing money because people are unable to purchase anything from the pro shop because our tool works so well. But one thing you'll note is that, and why we're here, and again, the reasoning behind Kinetic is that a lot of the interactions or the encounters that we experience today on social media are very fleeting in value, and they're what are considered micro actions. So a scroll here, a like there, maybe it's a share from your, from one person's post to your wall. These micro actions are really designed for the intent to have screen time and to capture your screen time and to capture your attention as long as possible. So one of the things that I really want to call out, and what a lot of people, or just in general, a lot of feedback that we tend to get is, how are we any different than social media, or how are we any different than LinkedIn in particular, because of us focusing very much on connecting professionals with aligned interests and goals. So here we have a compare and contrast between the two. I think one of the biggest things that you'll find within Kinetic over the next 2 weeks, especially as we prepare for MinneBar15, is that we focus on motivations. So what are you looking to learn, and what are you looking to share, versus your previous history and previous experiences. So a couple things, and we are live today. We have a few hundred different members within the Kinetic community. Very much so fellow co-founders, those that are early stage companies, whether they're startups or high growth companies, many of which are within the 100 employees or so, but really looking to get feedback from other co-founders, from other early stage employees, folks using this as a way to professionally benchmark best practices and strategies and tips on, with other peers in their industry, and just really have a conversation. I think that was one of the biggest reasons why we wanted to build something with substance over screen time, is so that we could really leverage a platform to have these conversations, to dig through the topics, to dig through the details, and to have that communal support in the process of building our companies, or just being our best selves. So for those that may not be founders or part of an early stage company, we do see a lot of corporate professionals that are on here as well, that are using this as a professional development tool. So right here in our backyard, folks at, say, Target and Best Buy, as we mentioned earlier, that where MinneBar is usually hosted, we do see a number of local area professionals from some of these larger corporations coming together with some of these startups, and even helping provide that subject matter expertise that some of these younger companies are looking to obtain and attract. So when we think about the event itself and where we really come into play, and how we're going to help, and I'll walk you through what that looks like when we set up a profile, and why it's so important to provide all the details when you're setting up a profile. Is that when we walk into a room at a standard networking event, and even a standard virtual networking event at that, it kind of looks like this. It kind of looks like a sea of noise, where we may, in a room, say, of 200 people, like we see here on the screen, out of all the people that are there may be a handful of people that could really help us, that would really be beneficial in knowing, and interacting with, and connecting with, and having a conversation with, that are based on those aligned interests, or based on those aligned goals. So again, what are those aligned goals? What do those look like? Maybe it's, I have an idea and I'm looking for a technical co-founder. And maybe on the other side, hey, I have those technical capabilities and I'm looking to join something new, or I'm looking to join that next startup, that next venture. Another thing could be, I'm a product manager. I'm looking to connect with other product managers to, again, be able to professionally benchmark and find out best practices, tips, tricks, tools that may be used, and just as a way to continue developing and sharpening my craft. Other ways that people have, and the community has used Kinetic today, is if I am, ready for funding and I'm looking to get my name out there and looking to, I've got a validated idea, I've got a problem that I'm solving for, and I'm looking to take in that pre-seed or that seed funding. There are also venture capitalists on here that are open to, again, with the aligned industries that they're a part of and that they specialize in, hearing from those ventures to have those early conversations. As anyone that's raised money before, that it is a long, very slow process, and it's all about deal flow for both you as a new venture and for the fundraising as well. It's all about. So I just want to pause there. I know that was quite a bit of information about us and how we got here and comparison of, between us and social media in general. But I just want to pause and see if there's any initial questions so far. Okay, sounds good. Yeah, if there are, feel free to ask away, and no worries. And so at the bottom here, you may see that there's 19,000 possible conversations. So this is based off of Metcalfe's law, how you take a total number of nodes or total number of people, and the total possible number of conversations that could occur within a networking event with a sample size of 200 people. So again, instead of fighting for those nearly 20,000 different conversations, we can go directly to those aligned individuals, make those introductions. A lot of times, especially when we found out in our initial research phase, is that for those that reach out, whether it's a cold email, maybe it's over LinkedIn or another platform, the response rate is fairly low, fairly dismal, and the rate of which, or the conversion rate of which a discussion actually happens or actually occurs, is even lower. So if we can help, again, cut through all that noise, go directly to the signal, connect you and introduce you to other aligned professionals for those meaningful conversations. And again, you see below some of those, again, some of the best practices or some of the ways that it's happening today. You're going to get the most not only out of those conversations, but out of the event here over the next 2 weeks with MinneBar15. So with that, why don't we go ahead and take a look at how this works. So when you first sign up, again, it's really imperative that you complete your profile, that you fill out all the details. And I'll quick toggle over here so you can see exactly what that looks like. So our website is joinkinetic.com. This is the first, you're first going to create a profile, again, just with your email address as well as your password of your choosing. When you create your profile, it's going to ask you for some basic information. So profile picture, first and last name, your location, a brief bio, industry experience, where's your specialty exists, where does it lie, and then also how many years of experience do you have. This is really important too, because one of the things that we found out is that when we make peer-to-peer introductions, it's most fruitful for both parties versus someone that is maybe say just coming out of school and someone that's been in the industry for 20 plus years. Those are really lopsided conversations, and not only for the more experienced person, but what we found out too is that the entry-level person, for instance, also has doesn't have the most positive sentiment because they don't feel like they can offer something in return, or experience, or knowledge or know-how that the other person has as well. So our peer-to-peer conversations are by far going to be the most fruitful, by far the most beneficial for everyone involved, and ensure that you have the best experience within your introductions. We'll also then have you put in education as you'd like, and then your work history. Where are you now, or where's your most recent position, and then how long have you been there? So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to sign into my profile here so you can see what this looks like. And then once you complete your profile, what's going to happen is it's going to, oh, looks like I got a double dot there. It's going to take you to your dashboard. And your dashboard is where everything happens, where everything really exists. This is going to be your main screen, if you will. So you're going to see all of your introductions during the MinneBar15 event pop up on the left-hand side here. Those that you follow or those that are following you are also going to be listed as well. Now, you probably may be asking, hey, Chris, 5 minutes ago, you were talking about the meaning behind making worthwhile introductions and getting away from some of that gamification like other social media channels. What you'll note is that with the follower and the following count, that is internal. That is something that isn't on your public profile. It's not something that other people will see. And again, this is a way for you to be notified of people that may post something, may have a status update that you haven't connected with before, or maybe you have and you just want to keep in touch and you want to keep that conversation going. And then also too, as a way to discover people. So for those that are following you, that you may not be following, you'll also be able to see, again, discover more people and see if there's more interested professionals out there that you can connect with. So from your dashboard, we'll head to the profile and just give you a quick sample here of what that looks like. So again, today, we've been around for a little under a year. We have a few hundred professionals that are currently within the Kinetic community today. It's primarily based here in the Midwest. So one of the things that you'll note is that post MinneBar15, you'll also have access to the MinneStar organization page for future events, for future connections and introductions, as well as the greater Kinetic network, which again covers a couple hundred entrepreneurs and tech leaders around the country. So when you create your profile, you're going to want to head to joinkinetic.com/pro/MinneStar, and I can drop that in the chat box in just a moment here, so you can see what that looks like. But you're going to want to join the MinneStar organization page, because this is where we're going to make all the introductions starting tomorrow and throughout the next 2 weeks, is between the members that are part of the MinneStar page. So that's a key detail there that you're not going to want to forget, to make sure that you join the MinneStar page. So you can see we have some folks that have already signed up, that are already added to the MinneStar page. And what you can expect as well when we start making those introductions is within your dashboard, and then also in the scheduler right within Kinetic, you're going to see the official MinneStar logo there to verify that it is in fact a MinneBar15 introduction between two attendees, including yourself. So once you get that introduction from your dashboard, you're going to see that handy little logo. Once you click on that person, so say for instance, if I had this introduction right here, it's going to bring me to the scheduling page. And from that scheduling page, it's going to give me a couple steps. And the first one is to set my availability. So you're going to be able to see the next couple days within the week. You're going to have some set times here between 8 a.m., 11 a.m., and 5 p.m. Central. And from there, you can set the introductions to meet up with your aligned professional throughout the remaining of the week on your time, on your terms that works for both parties. You'll be able to set your discussion topic. So what is it that you want to talk about? You'll be able to reference their profile page, so you can see things like where they went to school or where they work, what they're looking to learn, what they're looking to share. And then also the video conferencing link of your choice. So if you have, say, a personal Zoom link that you like to use, or if you have a Google Meet link, whatever you prefer, you'll be able to schedule and create that right within the Kinetic website. So once the introduction is made, and once you set your availability, and there's an aligned time between you and the introduction that's been made, it'll automatically generate an event invite. So you'll have that immediately added to your Google Calendar. Just hit the Add to Calendar tab. And what's nice is that within that Google Calendar, it'll have, again, the discussion topics from both you and your introduction. It'll also include the video details so that you have that the right link to go to meet. And then also too, it'll be automatically added to your calendar without having to take that extra step. So we wanted to make it as seamless as possible so that the scheduling should take as little time. It should, again, get you right to the point of having that added to your calendar automatically once that overlapping time is confirmed. And from there, you'll have the set time to meet. So any questions there? And again, I know there's a lot of substance here in regards to how it all works and what it looks like. Any questions on introductions, your dashboard, things like adding it to your calendar, anything like that I can help cover? No? So far, so good? Okay. So awesome. So once that happens, again, and you have your conversation, at the end of it, you'll be asked to rate how the conversation went. And no, we don't want you to rate the person's feedback directly. But what we're looking for are things like, how was the audio and visual quality? Is this someone you're looking to connect with that's meaningful for you to have conversation with and to make time to interact with? Would you want to meet with this person again and have a follow-up conversation? And then, of course, ways that we can make introductions a little bit more meaningful and a little bit more valuable to you. We're constantly trying to learn how to improve the system, how to improve our algorithms. We really want to make sure that, again, you get the most out of the next 2 weeks. And even beyond, as maybe something that you can leverage moving forward as you're building that venture, as you're looking to get more into tech and connect with others that have those aligned interests. So some of the feedback I wanted to highlight as well, again, just to hit home on how people are using it today. Take, for instance, in the top left-hand corner, you have Jessica and Ranjan, who we introduced through Kinetic a few months ago. They had an initial conversation. It went well. They had a couple of follow-up conversations. Ranjan is actually has his own company, as well as he's been a startup advisor for a number of early stage or infant startups, and he's looking to get back to an advisory role. Jessica just launched her company called Actually, based down in Chicago, and she was looking for an advisor to help with some of the behavioral product thinking, as far as how users and how members of her website and of her app, think about going through the stages of her app, and they interact with different buttons and different features. And that's one of Ranjan's specialties. So again, we're able to bring them together. Ranjan is now an advisor to Jessica's startup, and actually together they were able to help close their first pre-seed round of funding for Jessica's company. So really exciting there. Below that, we have Michelle and Jeremy. So again, they didn't know each other before Kinetic. Michelle is actually launching a company that's focused on generating FDA approval quicker, and Jeremy is a co-founder at a medical device company. So Michelle is building a database for FDA approval for medical devices specifically. Jeremy just happens to be a co-founder that loves to give advice, that loves to connect with other professionals in this industry, was able to give just a wealth of knowledge on Michelle's MVP. They talked for a couple hours, and as you can see, they really hit it off, and it was super valuable to have that type of conversation and get the feedback that Michelle needed. On the right-hand side, a little bit closer to home, we have Eva, who is the marketing manager over at Kipsu. One of the things that she says is she really likes digging into real-world problems with other motivated professionals and others that are driven that she wouldn't have met otherwise. And then below that, you have Brad, who is actually a senior director in the data analytics department at Target down the street, and said, again, I'm able to network with other high-caliber professionals in a unique way on my schedule. So again, it's all about how do we network on a little bit more meaningful level, a little bit deeper level than just happening to be at the same event. What are those interests? What are those goals? And where can we help one another get to that next milestone or that next point? So with that, and I might have gone a little too quick. I'm not sure how we're doing on time, but I want to kick it back and see if there are any questions or how I can.
Chris,
Yeah.
there are a couple of questions that came through
Yeah.
here, so I'll just read them to you. The first one is, I'm not able to add a second work experience in my profile. Bug or just me?
You should be able to add a second work experience. If you're not, just you can, happy to work with you offline. You can just email us directly. My email is chris@klink.chat. You feel free, and I can actually drop it in here. But yeah, you should be able to. We've had a number of folks that have added, 3, 4 different positions, so that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, that is helpful because Lynn was saying that she's having the same issue. So Chris dropped his email in there. Feel free to reach out to him.
Yeah.
Another question came through. A couple people were wondering, I may have missed the access code for the MinneStar instance. Could you please post?
Yeah, you bet. It's MinneBar15, capital M, with the exclamation mark.
Excellent. I will kind of pull up here. So are there other folks that have any other questions, either about how to use Kinetic, how can we leverage this for MinneBar, or tactical questions for Chris? You can also ask me questions just about MinneBar in general, if you have them. As I said, I'm really excited about this tool. I think it helps solve for that issue that we were talking about of how do we connect, aside from which, we love having the chat open when there's like hundreds of people on, but how do you make those intentional connections with people that are based on like mutually aligned interests and experience levels? So I'm really excited about this. All right, let's see. Oh, we got another question coming through here. Great question from Aaron. Will this connect us only within the MinneBar community or also beyond that?
Excellent. Yeah, great question. So throughout the next 2 weeks, we really want to connect within the MinneBar, or within the MinneBar community. But post-event, you will absolutely have access to the greater Kinetic community of a few hundred professionals across the country that are here for the same thing on a more regular basis.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, keep the questions coming. We are here.
If anyone wants to, small plug, if anyone wants to know the background of a little bit more about how we started it, and it was initially kind of in response to COVID-19, and my previous role was actually with a local company here that I was furloughed from because of serving the hospitality industry. So what started off as an initial response to COVID, it's kind of blossomed into a much larger opportunity of how to get better at just networking and finding people to that are aligned with those interests, aligned with those goals, and we can be mutually beneficial to one another and have those conversations.
Totally. Yeah, we'll keep the questions coming. Lynn says, in the interface, you may want to adjust the display to show all members. It currently shows only a subset. So.
Oh, all members? Yes. Yeah. Lynn, you beat us to it. Right now it just has like a preview, I think, of 12, and I think there's 20 some right now. So yeah, we'll show everybody so that it's another way to help discover other people and see who's all going to be attending MinneBar through Kinetic.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Lynn. Greg wants to know, is there a way to customize majors listed, for example, business versus management?
Nice. Yeah, good question, Greg. There isn't right now, but if you want to email me and just let me know if there's one that we can add that would be more aligned, happy to do so.
Fantastic. Aaron says, living in rural Minnesota, I appreciate having access to something like this. Well, awesome. We're really excited about that, and just the potential for virtual spaces and virtual networking to be more inclusive to doesn't matter where you live. So
yeah,
I'm really excited about that. Andy was just going to ask the same question. Chris, actually, well, there's a question that came in from here, but before we go to that, was that idea around making spaces and events more intentional and more inclusive? You said it was really inspired by COVID and the implications that that had on the hospitality industry. Was that what you also had in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. 5 years ago, and I can even drop a link in this. I wrote a blog post that I posted on LinkedIn that said how LinkedIn can become more valuable than Facebook. And in it, I mentioned introducing people based on aspirations and interests versus who you've met, and more so aligned with where you're going and what you're doing. And so there's always, the past few years, it's been this idea kind of kicking around of like, how do we get better at just having meaningful conversation? I also think too, directly to your point, the inclusivity and democratizing access, and no, not having that be a barrier, not always about who you know, but having one generalized platform that you can go to and participate in those conversations without having to know someone to get in those conversations first. I think is just a really, really key opportunity, and I'm excited to put this platform out there and allow that to be one of the help break down that barrier. So I think at first it was just like, hey, we're sheltering in place, business has to keep going, we can't go out, and we actually are literally stuck to the four walls of our home. How do we still meet people? How do we still have conversation? But then as we kept thinking about it and getting feedback and doing my research, it's like, wow, there's actually a much greater opportunity there. And again, going to that even level playing field within the tech space.
Nice, fantastic. We had a couple questions come through. Andy wants to know, is there a way to browse companies and organizations to join other groups? It's a really good question.
That is a great question. No, not at the moment. I think, Andy, one of the things you hit on is absolutely a huge opportunity that we're going to continue exploring. So just like MinneBar15 has an org page, we're also starting to see folks that are building out company pages. So there's actually a Kipsu page that you'll see, folks on Kipsu that have created it and are meeting on there, and a few others. But I think there's an opportunity where, say, remote working, which is going to be, part of the new norm, right? It's going to be something where a lot of companies are thinking about even doing a hybrid model, not even necessarily going back to working in the office 5 days a week. So how do you still have those opportune chances of having thoughtful dialogue between your coworkers while you're remote working, and not feeling siloed, and still feeling a part of the mission, still feeling part of the team, and still feeling like you can connect with others that are within the organization? Of course, as the larger the organization gets, it's more and more challenging. It's more and more difficult to have those thoughtful conversations. And so, that's precisely where we're headed with orgs and companies, is how can we use this as a tool to not only build these relationships and have these conversations, but then foster that culture, and also use it as a means to get better at the knowledge share and the knowledge transfer of, I may not be on a particular project, but I have experience, I have a background on that topic that the project revolves around. So how can I lend, my advice, my 2 cents, if that team's looking for that feedback? So there's a ton of potential in that.
Yeah. Another question came through, something just that I hopped on. Would you mind giving me a super quick pitch on how this will work? So we have a couple people who've hopped on, in the last 10 minutes or so. Would you be able to do like a double time pitch? We can go back forward.
I drink extra coffee for this moment. You bet.
Great. Yeah. In the meantime, keep the questions coming. There's the chat, or there is the ask a question section at the bottom, and either one of those will pull, and we will keep the questions rolling. But Chris, do you want to do kind of a brief.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for joining. My name is Chris. I'm the co-founder of Kinetic. And so what Kinetic is a inclusive community of tech leaders that are brought together for meaningful conversation. So we make introductions based on aligned interest and goals from the details that you fill out in your profile. So when you sign up for Kinetic, it's joinkinetic.com. And I can actually share my screen as well, just for those that have just popped on, that they can see exactly what that looks like. Let's see here. Again, I'm definitely in tech. I can share my screen, hopefully. Okay, so when you go to joinkinetic.com, this is the profile. You'll set up your profile as such. Again, it's going to ask you just some basic questions to get some information so that we can get really good at making those introductions to you for those one-on-one video calls. And then what we'll do is, once your profile is complete, it will bring you to your dashboard. And so I'm hopping into my dashboard here. Your introductions for the week will be listed on this left-hand side here within the dashboard. And what's actually going to happen too is you'll see a little MinneBar15 logo in the upper left-hand corner of that introduction of that professional that we made. So that's going to be your verification that this is a introduction with another attendee of MinneBar15. Once you click on that introduction, it's going to bring you to our scheduling page, and from there it'll give you those options. It'll give you different options to select a couple of dates and times over the next week to meet with that person. Once there's an aligned time between you and the other professional that we introduce you to, we'll automatically send you a Google Calendar invite for both you and the other person. It'll include your discussion topics of what you want to talk about, or areas of interest. It'll also include a video conferencing link. So if you have a preferred link that when you're making those, when you're scheduling your time, or whether it's Zoom or Google Hangout, you can insert it there. That's going to be added to the calendar invite so that you both know where to go. You both know the time and the place. And from there, you'll be able to meet and have that conversation. Now, before we give you or provide another introduction after that initial introduction that you have, we'll ask you to rate your experience, through our platform. And again, it's not to rate the person that you met with, but to rate the overall experience that you had through Kinetic. So things like audio and visual, how were those throughout the call? Things like, did you enjoy the conversation with this professional? Would you want to meet with this professional again? Would you want to meet with other professionals similar to the one that you met with? And then overall feedback, overall rating, because we want to make sure that, the little, any small nuances or hiccups that you're experiencing along the way, that we get those adjusted, we get those corrected. And again, it's, the shortest time to value, we can, have that introduction to you and have that conversation. So along the way, I should make mention for everyone that's been on the call or that's on the call right now, we do have a real-time feedback or a real-time support chat. So if you have any questions, something's not quite looking right, or if you just want, you want to know how to best leverage a certain feature, just drop a line and let me know. Otherwise, too, you can send it to our support team, support@clink.chat, and that will get us to, will come to us, and we can help you out there too. So the in-app or the in-platform support chat box is probably your best way, your most expedited way. But for those that are, are more, privy to email, by all means, you can also send us an email. Cool. How was that?
Great. It was great. Neil says thanks. Yeah. Any other questions that folks got? Now's the time. We are pumped and ready to do this starting tomorrow. Yeah. Let's see here. Any other questions coming through? Greg says, I presume that co-presenters will need to create an account at sessions.minnestar.org to be added to this stage, correct? So that's a great question, Greg. Actually, if you just, we can bypass that. You can send me, actually, when we sent the email that was asking if you have co-presenters and who are they, either fill out that form, or you can send an email directly to support@minnestar.org or maria@minnestar.org, and we'll make sure to get them that email as well with the directions for them. Great question. Yeah, any other questions as they're coming through? Greg, you can also forward the email that you got to them. It'll have, the link that's appropriate on there. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so like I mentioned, we are trying to condense all of the awesome information for you. You're going to all be getting an email with the link to join for tomorrow, with the schedule for tomorrow, and then the link to Kinetic, the access code is in there too. So keep an eye out for that. And if you have registered via Eventbrite, you'll be getting that email. But also if you're on our mailing list and you haven't registered yet, that's okay. You'll get that email too. Any other questions as we're going through? Chris, have you been to Minnebar before?
I have.
Yeah. How many times have you been?
At least 2, and I say it doesn't sound like a lot, but I've only lived in Minneapolis for like the 5 or 6 years. So So one of my coworkers is on the board and introduced me to the organization, and it's just like one of the best days out of the year. Right? You get to meet so many people, and you get to hear about so many cool new ventures and a lot of the hot topics of like what's going on in tech. It's a great way to just kind of keep a pulse on what's going on in the industry. So super excited for what's to come. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've had, I don't know if you were at the one where it was the snowpocalypse year. We had one where about 2 feet of snow fell on the day. Oh my gosh, of course.
There's other people here that were there that day, but that was, one for the books. Just like this year.
That's right.
This is one for the books.
That's right. Yep. Hopefully we can create some more of those serendipitous conversations.
Exactly. All right. Well, we have one last chance for questions. Any questions coming through? Otherwise, we will kind of get to our day. You all will get an email from me to prep for tomorrow, which is super exciting. Chris, thank you again. We're really excited to be working with Kinetic. If you have questions for Chris, Chris's email is in the chat. The way that Crowdcast works is that this is automatically saved as a recording, so you can come back and check it over again. The chat, it will still be available and up. So if you forget something, it is all here. So thanks again, Chris. Lynn says thanks. Any last things on your end?
No, thank you. We're super excited and looking forward to a great week.
Absolutely.
A couple weeks, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple weeks. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.